Okay, in the past, we've talked about three of the four cornerstones of nonviolent communication: observe, feelings, needs, and today we're going to talk about requests. And I would like to share, let me get the program up here. Okay, we've not talked a lot about requests. We've not talked a lot about requests. We've touched on them, we've mentioned them, but we haven't really discussed them all that much. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to share with each of you all. I'm going to share on Zoom. I'll drop the file in to you on Zoom, and you can look along with me if you will. And just give me a moment to get all the programs in the right order so that I can do things. Okay. Look for the you're going to look for the program here, or look for the file when I send it to you. One second. Okay. All right. You should be getting it about now. I think, Bill, you can't get it that way. So you just have to look at it, share, and then it'll be on the blog. Is everybody receiving that file now?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't see it.
It'll show up in chat,
Bill,
chat window.
Yeah, Bill, I think we determined once before that you can't get them.
Okay.
However, whatever way you're signed on or whatever, you can't receive them.
Okay.
All right. So
There we go.
well, you see it on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
But you didn't get it as a file.
Okay.
And you have to hold on one second. I'm trying to get. Actually, well. I'm going to try and get just a bigger image of it. So share. All right. Bear with me a second here. Request. Just that. All right. There we go. All right, now go back. All right, I apologize for this. Okay. There we go. All right, now you should see the requests file. Requests? Are you seeing it? Everybody see it? Everybody see it, either on the screen or in your chat window? Okay. All right. I'm gonna mute John. We've got some background noise coming from you. it sounded like there, John. So I've muted you. When you want to speak, just unmute. So today we're going to talk about requests. And these are the guidelines for making requests. The request needs to be specific and not general. Something that the other person can do or say. In other words, it has to be possible for them to do it. Remember when we were talking about, or when I was talking about, when you're driving and someone cuts you off, and the only person around that you can make a request to is yourself. You can't make a request to the other driver, and your concern is for your safety, and so you have to address yourself, and you cannot. It's not possible to address the other driver, so you make the request for safety to yourself. So sometimes it works that way, that there's nobody else that you can make the request to. So making a request to them, that's not a legitimate request from the standpoint of nonviolent communication. So it has to be doable and positive action language. No, so we don't use words like don't and wants and things like that. Make it gentle on yourself, gentle on the other person. And they need to be in the present moment. So in the present moment, and this is to enable connecting and understanding. You cannot bring up something that happened 5 years ago. If your argument is about something that happened 5 years ago, then probably should be in court, rather than a family discussion, because it's not a discussion, it's an argument, and you're using that as a weapon and not a tool for understanding or communicating. To dredge up something that happened 5 years ago is kind of, it's the other person may have forgotten about it. So it's not connecting. It's not for understanding. Again, that would be more of a weapon, So, and the requests are open-ended. In other words, you're just asking them to do something. There's not an expectation that it will solve the problem, or that if they did that, then everything would change. But it's a start. In other words, it's not all on them when you're making the request to someone. And we'll talk about some requests in a moment here. Okay, and maybe some of this will be a little bit clear. It's an invitation for the other person to tell you their honest response. If we make it open-ended, we give them space to be who they are. We give them space to honor their words. We give them space to honor their feelings, to respect their feelings. And a request should be made when you're feeling that the other person's needs are as important as your own. It's hard to do this when you have a feeling that you're more important than the other person. It comes out. It comes out in our language. It comes out in our facial expressions. It comes out in a myriad of ways that we're really not in the game for equality. We're in the game for dominance. And nonviolent communication is not about dominating someone. It's about achieving equal understanding. They're understanding you and you understanding them. Engaging in nonviolent communication doesn't automatically say that you're right and that you're better. Okay, and remain ready for a no if their needs are in conflict with your request. Turning the dialogue to the other person. Now I'm ready to receive or hear what they are saying. Let go of your inner voice to the best of your ability. Stop listening to respond, but listen to understand. Open yourself up to their words, their needs, their feelings, their requests. And we might think that that this takes two to play the game. It doesn't. It only takes you. It just takes you. It can be harder, but when you really want to understand, you can help the other person. The other person may struggle if they've not studied this. Most people haven't studied this, and so they may struggle. And so you help them because you want to understand. You want for communication. You want for it to be respectful dialogue between the two of you. And it's not about correcting them. It's about leading by example. So, connecting requests. Would you be willing to tell me what you're hearing me say? That's not a statement that we hear people say very often. Very rarely do we invite the other person. Do you hear people invite the other person to say what they thought you're saying? Would you be willing to tell me what you're hearing me say? How does that, when you read that, how do you feel? How do you feel there, Bill?
That's a tough one. That's not a user direction we go in. So
it is different, isn't it?
Yeah. That kind of shut me down. Not in the I mean, in a thinking way.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. When someone, and I'm sure each of you has experienced a situation where someone misunderstood what you said, and I'm automatically going to defense mode, another D word. It's like, oh, I got to defend myself. And a lot of times we're not even hearing what the other person is saying, and we're defending ourselves against something that we don't even know. So on the screen, I have to ask you a question. What are you seeing on the screen? Are you seeing the requests, Bill?
No, right now all I am seeing is personal meeting ID.
Oh yeah, I saw that highlight. Okay, I'm gonna stop the share and then start again. I don't know. The cursor must have gone astray when I hit it. So
Was up there for a little bit. There we go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. I just noticed that the green border was not around that window. So the recording is going to show all of my ineptitude when it finally comes out. Everybody the whole world will know how inept I am. So Trey, how does that statement sound to you?
Like if it were being asked to me, or if, just how does it sound in general, I guess is what I'm wondering.
Whatever, however you're processing it.
The way I'm processing it is, I feel like if I was to tell somebody that I communicate with that like it would be a real tactful sort of thing. It could only be appropriate in certain circumstances. Otherwise, this would excite somebody into more anger in some instances, is what I'm thinking.
So you think that, so let me just clarify. So you feel that if you think that if you said, would you be willing to tell me what you heard, what you're hearing me say? You feel that would elicit defense or anger within the other person?
Defense, possibly, only because sometimes when things are really heated or there is an argument going on, anytime I've noticed that you try to kind of let your guard down and actually take you might call it the high road, but not really, you know what I mean? But sometimes people do become a little more belligerent and defensive because I think that their desire is to argue, not to, have the opportunity to like really be mature about it.
So you're diagnosing them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely diagnosing them.
Yeah, it's hard. It's risky. Nonviolent communication is risky. It's saying I'm gonna try from the other side of the street. Or I'm gonna step out onto the bridge, and I'm gonna walk on over to your side instead of us yet standing on opposite banks yelling at each other. It's risky. When you say that to someone, I don't know. I mean, everybody may be different. Some people may just be so shocked and say, well, and maybe they may respond belligerently, and they may say, well, sure, I'll be willing to tell you what I heard you say, but and that's giving them an opportunity to speak. Whereas when you're arguing with them, you're not really giving them an opportunity to speak, because most people argue from the way that I want you to hear what I'm saying. It's all about your needs. And yes, this nonviolent communication is about your needs, but it's about making requests. And one of the needs is we need to communicate. We need to understand, foster understanding. So yeah, it may generate some some animosity. Maybe someone might think you're being a smartass. I just told you what I heard you say. Yeah. Well, then you could say possibly, when I hear you say that, I feel hurt. I feel angry. I feel competitive. I feel combative. I feel angry. I feel misunderstood. So we go back to our feelings. What are your feelings? And it may be different depending upon who you're talking with and who's angry. And then say, yeah, when I hear you say that, I feel shut down. And I'd like for us to be able to communicate better. Can we find a place where we can start this conversation again? Honor their belligerence, honor their anger, honor their animosity. Say, yeah, it sounds to me like you're angry, and that hurts me. And I have a need not to hurt, and I'd like to not make you angry. I mean, there's many ways that this opens up possibilities for conversation. And, you're not always going to be able to think about it in the heat of the moment, so to speak. And that's why practicing it little by little by little so that it becomes more second nature. And sometimes you might just have to ask the conversation to slow down. Empower yourself to say, this is all happening so fast, and I'm really not able to follow it. And I'd like to see if we could slow it down. How do those things sound to you, Trey?
Oh, well, yeah, they sound great. I mean, I guess I'll just have to experience more to be able to like fully, understand it.
Yeah. Davey?
Yeah, I guess initially there's some fear around asking that question.
Okay.
because of what the response would be. But I think it's a positive statement, because sometimes I don't know how I come across to people, or I don't express myself exactly how I mean to express myself. So to have that clarification, I guess, is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that may not, these may not be your words. These might be words that you just would never use. And I don't know each of you's manner of speaking, but there's also that to consider, that these are not my words. My words, I would use other words, and I would say it slightly different. But to get that invitation for clarification, ultimately that's what we're thinking about, is we're inviting the other person so that we clearly understand what it is that they are upset about. I've listened to people argue, and sometimes they're not even arguing about the same thing. One person's yelling about one thing, and the other person's yelling about the other thing, and it gets all twisted up, and everybody's just angry, and people aren't listening. They're just yelling. So find your words for saying this thought. Might be one thing to talk about. And yeah, it can be you're making yourself vulnerable. Nonviolent communication is about making yourself a little vulnerable, but protecting your feelings. Honoring your feelings, knowing what your feelings are, being aware of your feelings, knowing that hurt. When I heard you say that really, I felt pain. And I'd like for some clarification. I'd like to see if maybe I misunderstood you. It's not about blaming the other person. It's about honoring what your feelings were in that moment. And then what are your needs? Maybe they won't give it to you. And now you know. And sometimes that may be the end of the conversation. And you know that now. And that can be powerful. It's like, well, they really don't care. John, what are your thoughts about all this right now?
Well, the concept of turning off my automatic interpretation mode and focusing more on listening to what the person says is I recognize that as a very important need for myself. So I appreciate the what's going on here, and also the obvious need to practice this to make it functional.
Yeah, it does take a lot of practice, little by little. It is a very effective way of engaging in conversation. The outcome is not all. This isn't. I'm not being. I don't want to be give you the impression that I'm thinking in a Pollyanna sort of way that if you just do this, everything will work out fine. It's not so. This is a tool to get maybe a little bit further along in a conversation of understanding. This is a skill to give you when you're out of other skills. In those situations when you've already tried yelling, you've already tried a punch in the nose, and none of that worked. And now maybe you can try nonviolent communication and see if that works. Even with people who do not know anything about nonviolent communication, it is very effective. When done in a kind, gentle way. We all have some true enemies, people who would do anything to destroy us. Not many, usually. Usually we've just got a lot of misunderstandings. And so, for those people in the misunderstandings category, nonviolent communication can be very effective, even if they don't know it. By asking people a specific, doable request. Can you tell me what you heard me say? It sounds like I was misunderstood. can you tell me what you heard me say? Most times people will tell you what they heard you say. It might not have been what you said, but that's a frequent thing that comes up in arguments is, you said this, you said that. You said I'm ugly. No, I said that shirt color doesn't go well with you. It's two different things. Remember that example I used when we first started this? You said I was trying to poison you. No, I said that this pudding tastes off. Two different things. But in arguments, usually exaggeration comes up. Yeah? Everybody's kind of silent there. Thoughts? I need some feedback here.
Actually, with what you brought up, the reason I'm being so quiet is the hamster is upstairs running the wheel pretty quickly. But when you say, as a teacher, I will say things as clearly as possible, I think, and they will do exactly what I said. And that is not what I intended at all.
Okay.
And it's really interesting with a room full of people. My standard little reply is, this is how wars are started. It's a joke, but I'll tell a class of 12 people something to do that I think is very clear. And everybody's doing, if it's possible to do 12 different things, there are times when 12 different things are done. And that's, you start to get an understanding of just how things just would go downhill from there if it was a standard little argument.
Yeah.
12 people, 12 different interpretations of what you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Davey, Trey, John?
I'm still kind of processing.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way. I'm just trying to relate things back and forth in my head a little bit and take some notes.
Are you trying to conjure up some examples in your life?
I kind of was, but it's taking a little bit longer than I thought.
Yeah. No, I think that's possibly a normal reaction is think about, we've all been in arguments and, we've all had them degenerate to just shy of fisticuffs, perhaps. And we're, probably each one of you is thinking about the last argument you had with a spouse or with a friend or coworker or something. So, John, any thoughts?
Well, I think if I wasn't retired and mostly living by myself, I would have more ways of applying this. I think it's very useful, but I'm sort of thinking like I'm a guy in a cave practicing by myself and wondering how I would put this to use. Other than what I mentioned before, which is this idea that I recognize in myself that trying to interpret what I'm hearing before I've heard it causes me to get into the conversation gets disjointed quite quickly if you're not actually listening and all you're trying to do is interpret what the person is saying. So those are things I can recognize quite well. But I don't have occasions to argue with many people or to discuss things that need to be that can border on arguments. So, but there are things here that I can apply that I appreciate.
Yeah. So another request. I'd like to hear how you feel when you hear me say this. I can almost safely bet that most of us, if even any of us, ask the other person how they feel when we said something. We want to know what they think. or else we just don't care anything about them at all. And we're more concerned about how they're interpreting us or whether they will comply with our demand, which we are trying to pass off as a request. So when you hear me, how do you feel? And more than likely, the other person will say, I feel like, and it's probably not a good time in the course of the argument to say, no, feeling like is not a feeling, but try to listen for their feeling. Because when we say feel like, that's not a genuine feeling, that's a thought. And what we're trying to do is get to their feelings. So when they say, I feel like hitting you, then ask them, so do you feel angry? Help them. Don't try to put words into their mouth or words into their head. Ask them if you're understanding. So you feel angry, you feel hurt. Try to discover what they're feeling and then honor it. Wow, I didn't mean to make you angry. I didn't mean for you to feel hurt. And try and put it into, the first one I said, make you angry. We don't want to do that. I didn't mean to have you feel angry. I didn't mean to cause you to feel anger. And then ask them how you can help them so they don't feel angry, or how you can help them so they don't feel hurt. That's pretty powerful when we can do that. When we can be so genuinely concerned about conversation and about connecting. You know, our word of the week last week was connecting. When we can feel so genuine about connecting with someone that we set aside for a moment our own initial need, because now we have a different need. We have a need to connect. Whereas our initial need might have been a need to be right. Now we have a need to connect. And when we can connect, then we can communicate. And when we can communicate, then we can have compassion. They can have compassion for you. You can have compassion for them. So even if they know nothing about nonviolent communication, it is possible to honor their feelings. Say, wow. Just say, wow, I'm so sorry you feel hurt. I'm so sorry you feel angry. My intent was just for us to be able to communicate about this subject, to have a conversation about this subject. If that was indeed your intent, which hopefully it was. Do you see how the conversations might be able to go differently? There won't be a winner. It's not about winning. You know, when we engage in conversations and we that's why, you know, when I first started the temple, we had a young man who came for, this is before any of y'all, he came for about 6 years. He attended the temple. And when he first started coming, you know, he said, you know, he was talking about propagation. And, you know, all of y'all, except for Bill, had some experience with the Soka Gakkai and their mandate for bringing in new people, converting people. And I said, no, we don't do conversions at this temple. Converting has nothing to do with the Lotus Sutra. That's a New Age religion, if anything. Conversion is about domination. Conversion is about superiority. And that's not what Buddhism is. You know, if we look from the standpoint of the Lotus Sutra that we all possess Buddhahood, then there's nothing to convert. You know, they're already a Buddha. There's nothing to convert. What we're trying to do is show them by our example and by our actions that they can manifest this Buddhahood, but they've already got it. And so when we get into propagation, that's about subjugation. Propagation is about subjugating someone to your views. It's about dominating someone to your ideas, to your beliefs, to the point where they give in, or maybe they change their mind. But it's a dangerous place to be when we're engaged in this activity of converting people into something, some belief. Then it's not a mind to mind. Then it's not a heart to heart. I mean, then it's not a heart to heart. It is strictly mind over someone else's mind. And that's a difficult place to extract oneself from. And so it's with caution. But when we engage in conversation that we hope will be connecting, sometimes we have to go back a few degrees and say, yeah, my goal here is to connect. First to connect, then we can get to understanding. If we're so disconnected we can't understand each other, then it's just, it makes it even, if it ever happens, it makes it much more difficult. But if we can step back and just go to connecting, I want to connect with you, my heart to your heart. It's not about being better than they are. It's not about superiority. It's not about subjugation. It's not about domination. It's about heart to heart connecting as equals. Because whatever you're superior at, they're superior at something else. But when we want to connect with people, then we can go back and get some understanding. Once we've made it safe for them and safe for us. And sometimes we can't, sometimes there'll be people that we could never get there with. And sometimes it's quite empowering to know that and say, no, I'm not able to connect with that person. Again, own it. I'm not able to connect with that person. And so my energies are better spent someplace else. Okay, would you share your ideas with me? In other words, I said 20 suggestions, and we're not really connecting.
I like that one because I've used that before.
Yeah?
I've said to someone, when you say that, it makes me feel like, and then it described. And I found it very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Because you can't, there's no denying how someone feels. You can't take that away from them. So to have that, I guess, clarification, which is what I guess all these are, these connecting requests. When I've been in arguments before, it's been usually because there's a misunderstanding about how they feel, what their needs are. And these kind of connecting requests are like ways of clarifying in a way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think they're really helpful. And as I said, I've used the one like when you say that, it makes me feel like this. So I'm going to use them. I think they're really good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? John, Trey, Bill? Nothing? Silence. Okay.
Still processing.
Yeah, yeah. Would you share your ideas about this, Bill? Would you share your ideas about this?
I feel a trap.
Okay, that's good. I feel trapped.
First thing out of my mouth.
I feel trapped. Yeah. But own it. So it's not, I feel a trap, but I feel trapped.
There you go.
Yeah?
Okay.
And so what kind of requests would you like to make? A specific, doable request. Maybe it's to give you more time, you know, to come back in 5 minutes.
Actually, that's a good, that would probably be the real response right there.
Okay, so own it.
I think when there's a lot to think about, it's hard to get I mean, and that's what you've got. It seems like you've got us going. I can't speak for anybody other than me. That, you know, if you've really got somebody thinking a lot and they're sitting back and they're doing this, it's probably not a good time, and maybe a real life situation, to keep asking them what it is that they need in the situation. It's like, buddy, I need some time to think.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yes. So own your request. So, Bill, own your request. So I said, I need 5 minutes, or I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
So those were my words.
Gotcha. My request to own, and if I were to own my request, that I just need more time would be what I would say.
Good, very good, very good. Yeah, this is, you know, you all have been prepared or preparing in this nonviolent communication practice. We've spent several weeks with observe, feelings, needs, and today we're jumping into requests. And this is a lot of stuff to connect to those other three things. And again, it's not something that we're used to doing. We're not used to talking this way. So I understand. Would you be willing to talk after lunch? An action request. Would you help me with the report revision this afternoon? Inviting someone into your life. No, I'll get it done. You know, or they come up to you and said, "Is that done yet? Have you gotten that finished?" No, I could use some help. Can you help me with it this afternoon? Now, sometimes you cannot say that to your boss. Sometimes you might be able to. I've had supervisors that if I asked for help, they would give it to me. If I went about the process as if I knew everything and could do it all by myself, they would let me do that too. They would let me fail, or they would help me succeed. I've worked for good people like that. Will you bring the groceries in from the car? Specific, it's doable, and maybe they will say no. That's always a possibility. So, you know, going back up to the top there, you're ready for a no if their needs conflict with your request. You know, a lot of times we ask questions that we automatically expect a compliance, or that someone will fulfill our expectations, and that's really not a connecting way to be. Expecting someone to just automatically say yes to whatever it is that we ask. When we can step back and say, you know, oh wait, no, would you help me bring groceries in for the car? Oh wait, I see you're unpacking that bag. I'll get it myself. Allowing them, you know, anticipating their no, especially for someone who's you've never anticipated a no from. to say, oh, wait, I see you're busy. Never mind. You know, might just throw someone's tire off the tread or off the rim because you've never paid attention to what they were doing before, and now all of a sudden you're paying attention to them. Anyway, there's different ways. Just a thought. So demands. These are the things we do not want to do, are attached to the outcome being what I want. They deny choice to the other person because I said so. Or like in the, would you bring the groceries in from the car, with the expectation that of course they will, because they just do whatever it is you want them to do, and you've never really stopped to consider what their needs are. Implied punishment or negative consequence. The implication of you'll do it or else, which is really a very abusive kind of conversation. It's not respectful. It's not connecting. Or considering the bigger picture of the other person's needs. If you are not considering, in other words, will you bring the groceries into the car? Oh, wait, I see you're getting ready to go to the bathroom. Never mind, I'll get them myself. Considering the other person's needs. The demand doesn't consider the other person's needs. Okay, so it is 11 o'clock, 5 minutes after 11, and there's more to cover with demands, or with requests rather, not demands. Sorry about that. But we'll stop the share for now. That's just page 1 of demands and of requests. Sorry, that's page 1. There's another page, and then there's some exercises that we'll do. All right. So, Bill, you're teaching today?
Yeah, I have to leave it about 20 after.
Okay. Well, just a brief. Everybody share something. Everybody share something. It's a request. That's a demand. No, it's a heavy request. Just, it doesn't have to be about this. It can be anything. Maybe your toenail's hurting you. I don't know. Just share something. Thoughts, feelings, observations, requests, needs, tangents.
I'm feeling good today. I've had a lovely day. Good. Had a lovely walk with Neil, my husband, by the Thames this morning. It was nice.
Very wonderful.
The sun was shining. The birds were chirping, so it was lovely.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And which part of the Thames?
By where we live. So we live kind of Putney, so just around of Big Ben. So it's further down.
Okay.
Inland. But it's lovely, really nice. Lots of people rowing on the river, lots of rowers, and yeah, it was lovely.
So have you ever been to the Peace Pagoda there in Battersea?
Yeah, it's not far from where I live.
Okay, all right. That's a beautiful bridge there by Battersea. I think which one it is, the blue one?
I think it's Chelsea Bridge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Chelsea. It's lovely.
That's a beautiful bridge. Yeah.
We sometimes go there. Well, yeah, I like Battersea Park. It's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a lovely morning. It's been very nice. It's cold, so it's kind of cold but clear skies, which is lovely. So I quite like the winter.
Well, we have about half a foot still on the ground of snow. We got a foot. It's supposed to start snowing. Well, it might be snowing now. It's supposed to start around 11 a.m. to start snowing again.
Wow.
So that's nice. Yeah.
So yeah, today's a good day.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Everyone will speak.
Well, since we're on the topic of the weather, it's we've been having really up and down weather. So it's a beautiful weekend. It's going to be 68 degrees today. It was about that yesterday, but everyone's all like from the up and down, cold, hot. Their sinuses are all messed up and nobody wants to come out and play.
Yeah.
It's like, we're feeling a little under the weather. And it's like, I understand.
Right.
My request would be like maybe people could try to get past some of that and come out and enjoy the nice day before we don't have very many more.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the fresh air will do your sinuses good, or it won't do them any more harm. Bill, John, thoughts, feelings, comments, tangents, new subjects, anything?
Things have been going well for me, so it's been a good week. I'm adjusting to the new schedule, and I obviously did not oversleep this morning. I was sore, but yeah, everything. So it's been a good week. And on the weather front, I'm hoping to get out on the bicycle again, because it's my time of year. It's about 35, 40 degrees when we wake up, and it's about 55, 60 degrees. And we finally have had the sun come out. So hopefully I'll be able to get out there and enjoy it, because November's my month. For some reason, I have no idea why. I just love it.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope the weather conspires to enable you to do that. John, you want to say anything?
I was conspiring not to say anything.
Okay.
It's good to see how long I could go without saying anything. I forget which crime drama it is where they put the guy in a room and they don't say anything to him, because they know if you sit there long enough without saying anything, the guy will start blabbing right away.
Yeah.
I
just want to let you know that we're all looking at you.
Yes, right. Well, I could mute my video feed too.
Oh, that's impressive.
There you go.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. No. Actually, I enjoy the idea of being in a room with people who are on other parts of the world, because it gives you sort of an interesting perspective. While in London, it's the end of the day. Yeah, out here in California, it's the beginning of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's ahead of me as opposed to being behind me.
Yeah.
And so it's always fun. I used to play Go online, Chinese board game. And that was really quite interesting to be playing with somebody and, 15, 16 hours ahead of you.
Yeah. Or the next day.
Yeah. How is tomorrow going to be? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that reminds me, on the calendar, if you want to look at it, the New Year's schedule is up. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day schedule is on the temple calendar, as well as the study activities. And I will be putting up the tentative schedule for the retreat in Paris. The times may fluctuate some, just because it's a retreat and nothing ever happens exactly when it's supposed to. But what I've done is I've allowed 30 minutes between each activity, and the breaks will only be 15 minutes, but I'm allowing another 15 minutes to get all the cats back in the bag, to herd all the cats back into the room. So that way, hopefully we can stay pretty close to on time when things will happen. But it will be streamed. I probably, the Shakyo may be streamed as well, but all the lectures, all the Dharma talks will be streamed. The ceremony, the Jodo-e ceremony, will be streamed from Paris. And Davey, that's just an hour or two different from you. Here on the East Coast, it's 6 hours difference, and there, John, it'd be 9 hours difference, Paris time. And but the activities will be streamed, and we will have folks from Africa joining in the stream as well. And so I welcome everybody to do that. It'll also be recorded. Rie McCormick will be in attendance as well. He's coming along with his girlfriend. So there'll be 3 Nichiren Shu priests, and 1 Tibetan Lama will be officiating the Jodo-e ceremony. I'm quite excited about that. And so it'll be a good retreat. There's only 2 Dharma talks, and they're very short. If you join in, I will provide you the English of what will be said in French. So the meeting will be conducted all in French. Question and answers will be translated back and forth. You know, in the past, the folks who translate for me, they know, there's the speech I wrote, and then there's the speech I give, or the talk that I wrote, and then the talk that I give. So there'll be some variance, and you'll hear it in English, and then, you know, we'll wait for the translators to say it in French. But the service will be all in French. Everything is being translated into French, all the prayers and special parts to the Jodo-e service. So I think it'll be good. And then the evening meal, originally when I set the schedule up, I had it set for, we'd eat and then we'd do the service as a closing. But I'm thinking about my body clock and when I normally eat at 5 o'clock in the evening. French people don't eat till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So we switch things around, and we'll do the service first, and then we'll eat, and then you know, we'll have a couple hours for dinner, and people can hang around or leave, whatever. So it makes more sense that way. I just told, okay, so I'll run across the street and get a snack before we start the Jodo-e service, so that my stomach doesn't growl. So, you know, to the extent that you're able, it'd be nice to have you join in. Again, the time isn't necessarily convenient for everyone. For Davey, it's not too bad, but and that'll be a Saturday, Davey. So I don't know what your Saturday schedule is.
No, flexible, yeah, be great.
Yeah, so I'll put those times up on the temple calendar here, hopefully this weekend. So I'm really excited about it. 20 people have signed up. Originally, when I did it, I thought maybe 4 or 5. You know, I was optimistically hoping for 8 or 9. But 20 people have signed up. So we had 1 person die since they signed up. So we'll include a short memorial for that person. So we still have 20 people signed up because someone else signed up. But yeah, 1 person died. It's kind of sad. Anyway. Yeah, so just in closing, I know that today was a lot. It might be a huge mind shift. You know, the whole playing field of how we engage in conversation is shifting as we're learning about nonviolent communication. And today was rather deep, wasn't it? I mean, you know, really caused some wheels to turn within our cognitive factory up there. And I know that can be, may take some time to process. And I respect that, and I'm well aware of it. And my encouragement to converse during the conversation, even when I know that you're thinking about this and processing it, is so that you don't maybe get too deep into it right now, and can take it in little bits and pieces, and understand that it is a lot, and it's going to take a lot of practice. And pretty much, well, we got 1 more thing on request next week. Then we'll take a break because I'll be in Paris, and depending upon how I feel, I may do the study night on that Tuesday. But right now on the calendar it says no. It would be 1 o'clock in the morning in Paris, and I will have just gotten there that day. It just depends on my body clock, so I'll kind of stay a little bit loose on that. It'll be, I'll post any change on the calendar. Again, the calendar is our place to look for communication, because I can update it real time from my phone, and it'll be changed instantly, and you'll see that. So check the calendar always. We have 1 more session on requests, and then we start doing exercises, activities. And so that'll be hopefully a little bit more fun, a little bit less deep. So anyway, well, thank you all very much. We'll end now. We'll do Jigage together, and we will, actually won't end.